Hello, the track here is Demetori nuclear fusion. Fusion? Yeah, sure, that's the word now. Fusion. Very interesting track. It's a Toho car, obviously, as it all is. But I think it's very interesting. I think it's the most symphonic track, as far as I'm aware, Demetori has done. It's got so many synths going on, and then in the chorus it has an actual lead guitar, which is interesting. It has some interesting solos, interesting bridges and breakdowns. It's got so many things going on, which I like about it. Obviously the drumming is insane, I keep forgetting to mention. Yeah, it's just one of those tracks. Just enjoy, I suppose. I felt like talking about this because of a YouTube Shorts creator that I do seem to get a lot of recommendations for now and what sort of watch. Train spotter called Francis Bourgeois. I don't know how to say his last name. That's my bad, but yeah, he made an interesting short about basically this hobby and what it means to him, which I think is really interesting, and I felt like sort of sharing my own, as it sort of pertains to a similar sort of thing anyway. But I've got like multiple, and yeah, I do somewhat feel emotional depending on what it is. It ultimately depends, and that's one of the only like bad things about this, because that means it is subjective. But yeah, I can see myself sort of liking these things as a result, and my passion for each hobby comes from either an interest in it or just wanting to pay something back, like somehow. By being invested in the hobby like gaming, I've always been a gamer, so it's not a surprising thing to know that I'm a gamer, and people might think, well, what motivates you? With games, it's just about finding something to enjoy, have fun with, and something that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do in real life. That's why I've always been someone who likes seeing something like flight simulators and some other simulator games. I would say all of them are like that interesting. Don't play many, obviously, but I also like open world games, and that's where it gets really special. Because open world games open up a entirely different like world, obviously, into being open world. I just finished Mika and the Witch's Mountain recently. It's one of the best games I've ever played, despite some of the big glaring issues that it has. And yeah, that's the sort of thing I live for in gaming. Final Fantasy XIV, I'm still playing it. I've done all the things I wanted to do. I'm doing questing instead of other content or even mount farming. I decided to do questing because it felt a bit easier to do that and more enjoyable. And I do enjoy the questing element, even though it's just grey quests, which do give rewards every now and then. Speaking of which, hang on, I think I didn't claim a minion. I might have accidentally sold it actually. Shouldn't have. That's weird. I swear there's like a quest, unless it's like the last one actually. It might be one of this. Yeah, remember to pick up the delivery quests in Nimbus Elementa. I'm going through them at the moment, and then I'll do Shroud, and then I'll do Heaven's Born. Obviously, it's a long fucking journey it's going to be, but I don't mind it. It's just, it'll take time, I think, to do. It'll just be an interesting thing to just see. Yeah, it's there for a reason. I still think it's like a almost continuation of the story, but yeah, gaming is definitely a passion of mine. I've grown up with it and stuff. Music matters to me in that. The graphics matter to me to an extent. And it's just like pixel graphics, I can't really judge them. I'm not a fan of them. I guess if there was like a CRT monitor version of them, it might be different. But yeah, I've never really fancied them. It's a bit weird, as I used to like them, but suddenly it just sort of felt meh. That can be good, can be lazy at times. But that's what leads into like other hobbies, because when I got fed up of gaming a few years ago, or even like 8 years ago now, I think, I started to look into other things to do in my life, and one of the things I wanted to be was an artist, because I really appreciate artwork for what it is, and even though I don't know many artists other than a few like famous painters and even then just a few digital artists, I still had an interest, and I appreciate a lot of the things I've grown up with, like artwork in video games, artwork in media and comics and cartoons, obviously. So that's where my passion sort of came from that. Um, it's just been an interesting journey ever since, trying to discover how to make things like that. I remember watching the entire Pokemon series in 2014, 2015 about, maybe even 2016 as well. Even though I missed quite a few episodes because of the way I was watching it. I think it was actually just a YouTube playlist before they even did a proper copyright snuff or whatever you call it. But that was like the place I watched it, and I didn't get to see every episode, sadly. And even then, still didn't get to see many movies. Yeah, I really appreciate the series because it's just so wholesome. And yes, I know about the mother and daughter Easter egg, and those they're in every movie. But, you know, it's definitely a series, and that inspired me to do artwork. Because I saw the backgrounds and I was thinking like, holy shit, like this looks almost as good as real life. And so I set out on a mission to discover how to make a good background, and it turns out it's not as hard as you think. It's a matter of perspective and layering, and it's definitely possible. I've managed a few images. But yeah, that's what really got me interested in it. And as for characters, obviously it's like the anime style. I've struggled with characters. It's been one of the harder parts of the journey because of obviously needing it to be very specific. Again, characters are another thing to draw, so it gets a bit difficult from there. So I never really mastered characters, sadly. I've been trying for years and I found a different style that I liked, so I couldn't really master that either. So it became a bit of a mess, and so obviously it's somewhere that I still need to improve. As I'm making this, actually, there's some crappy sketches for characters in the series I made called Causeways, and the same with writing actually. I become so inspired by storytelling that I ended up creating some writing anyway. And just to, you know, show my appreciation for other writers and actually put my own spin on things here and there. And that's partly why I got into that, like fanfiction writing, and also it's because of a cope, to be honest, with these romantic fanfictions. I used to write, it's just a bit of a cope, really. There isn't really much to do with it other than OCD. It's kind of, yeah, it's not really the best part of my history in that. But other writings, I've been inspired by other things, and that's fine. I've read plenty of books. I've read Discworld, I've read the Witcher series, Name of the Wind, In the Raven's Shadow, which was pretty good. They did other books apparently, I think. I can't remember if they did other books, but apparently they weren't as good. I might be thinking of The Name of the Wind though. But yeah, I've read some interesting books over my time, including some like Overwatch ones. Trying to think what the others were. I don't know, I tried learning language once and it wasn't good. But my English is not good, if people haven't noticed, in writing, and that's because I never really passed English. I got the basic C grade on it, but that's it. That's as high as I could go for some reason, even though I technically could have gone higher. But I was never able to really learn many words or even like a sort of writing structure, so everything I've learned is pretty much self-taught. It's something that I've learned through playing games as well, so it ties into that. And similarly, I guess artwork has been self-taught as well, because there's no tutorials for the things I'm making, which is pretty insane. Background art especially is kind of rare, at least for anime styles. What else? music, I guess, is an interesting one because I never intended on being a musician, but I ended up doing that because I just really liked this music that I heard. Again, it's like a appreciation thing. I listened to rock music back in college, and I got into it from that, and metal also became a natural thing from that too. So I listened to a radio station in the UK for that, where they played metal and rock music. So double check what it is. I wonder if it's still there. I don't know what it's called now. For some reason I forgot the name, but it's come back to me. It had a very unique name. Don't know if it's still around, actually. I think it is. I don't know. It's strange. I don't know. I'm not going to mention it then. No, maybe I do. I don't know. It might be just a cancelled thing now, so no, no. Oh, there it is. Okay, still going around, I think. Planet Rock. I think that is. Yeah, that was interesting. That's sort of where I heard a lot of this music and got into certain bands. And also there's like the Brutal Legend soundtrack. Eventually I got into metal, and that really changed things because I wasn't really a fan of metal, believe it or not. But it started to hook me when I started listening to anything but Metallica. And I was listening to Slayer, Anthrax, and Megadeth, even Killswitch Engage. I've sort of tried, and Iron Maiden. Listened to them years ago, and then had to re-listen because I couldn't remember any of the tracks. But so I got into it, and it set me on my path there. And I got into Demetori, and that was like, wow. Okay, other than learning music back in college, when I started that, I heard Demetori and I was like, holy crap, I need to analyse this because this is fucking amazing. Never heard music like it. It's always special to me, Demetori. I've never heard any artists like this. The symphonic metal Toho covers, like, what? It's just a weird combination. It works so well. So yeah, there isn't much to say on music. I guess TV and movies are like another big interest of mine. I have so many. I think they need to be separate, I guess, in a way, but maybe not. TV and movies, they came about as an interest because of myself being bored during artwork, and that's because I watch it whilst doing artwork. I needed something to do in that time, and it made sense to start documenting what I've watched via notes and documents. So I started doing that, and I've watched a lot of shows since. I've at least watched like a good 100 different shows and movies. And by this point, I've certainly seen quite a few. And yeah, and the magic with shows, much like writing, is the storytelling. There's some from childhood that I've seen that I like, there's some from recent that I like. There's quite a few things here. It's quite involved as well. But that's the main thing with TV and movies. Like, you get a story that's told, and I'm quite a sucker for storytelling. It's one of the bigger things for me, and that's also what I like about music and artwork. It's the fact you can do that. It's so fascinating to me how you can construct a story based on inspirations and just make-believe as well. It's always been something that's appealed to me. That's why Pokemon was such an integral part of what I was doing and how I got inspired. But yeah, storytelling is seriously one of the biggest deals in my life, I think. And also because I've heard so many stories from family as well. It's kind of one of those things you start to take after them in a way. A part of my family has definitely told stories before. And I have many stories to tell as well. And also I've been learning things about the world too, which I can incorporate into storytelling. And that's what makes it so magical. And by far the best writing I've ever seen out there is probably One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. Or is it Eiichiro? Because there's two Y's, I think. But yeah, Oda, seriously, such a good artist and writer, and that also inspires me. Yeah, there's a potential in the future that I could develop a game. It's not guaranteed, obviously, but there's a part of me that wants to try to see if I can actually do that. So I think it'd be really good to try and make a game, because it would it'd probably be groundbreaking in a way for what I want to do. But also at the same time, it might just be a disappointment, and yeah, it's not really a massive deal, really. But I do think there is something there. I'll just hope that the games I make end up doing pretty well, but that's all I can do. But yeah, but that's really where the writing gets me inspired. Again, they've all had such a big impact on me. One Piece, Pokemon, Simpsons. There's many different elements to it, and it's hard to pinpoint one thing that's really kick-started it all, and that's why all my hobbies get kind of pretty expensive in the long run. Which isn't really avoidable, I don't think. But you know, I definitely try to make it possible and try to live out my dreams as well. I think living out a dream is probably one of the most important things you could do in society today. Yeah, if you could somehow do it, there has to be some way to do those things. And some of them probably aren't in reach, depending on what it is, but for at least what I've liked in life, it's been possible. Same way that, again, like train spotting, like Francis has obviously made pretty much his dreams come true through obviously locomotives and trains and stuff. Are they the same thing? I actually meant to look that up, but I can't remember. But that's kind of the point. It's something to keep you getting up in the morning, and you know, in what is technically a miserable life at the moment, it's one of the best things you can do, I think, to pick up a hobby, pick up an interest. At the moment, we see a lot of people, like old farts, who just don't do that, and they end up being like vulnerable or suffering as a result. And it also just become apathetic because they just have no joy in their lives. They have plenty of time to find some, and they still have time now. It's just like the most important advice I can give. There's many elements to these things that you do. It could even be like, oh, my favourite show was, I don't know, trying to think of an old TV show, Blackadder maybe, and maybe your passion is like writing stories based around that, based around historical sort of fiction, a historically accurate but fictional kind of element sort of thing. I'm not sure how to describe it, but that could be very well what inspires people and put some on a journey there to make them see, discover something new, discover something important that could actually help them. And that's why it's pretty important. Yeah. I don't really know what else to add, to be honest. Just discussed everything, I think, here. Yeah, that's what pretty much keeps it going, I guess. It's strange, but it does work. It's one of the best sort of forms of therapy that you can get in terms of, you know, what's out there for treatments, and God knows what at this point. There's so many different things going on in the world. It's a good distraction as well, if it's possible for you. Yeah, there's just a lot of benefits. And that should go without saying, but not everyone realises that, sadly. And, you know, we have to pick up the pieces after, which is not good. So I think the less that the younger generations have to pick up, the better the world would be. And it also goes through when you're following a dream. Yeah, I think you don't always need like a second job, for example, to do things. I think that's fine. Yeah, like having a second job could also replace a job that otherwise a younger person could have. And even though we're all struggling financially, I you just have to make compromises wherever you can, and sort of put other people before yourself. I think there's plenty of cases where people unfortunately become that sort of greedy type without maybe earning enough. Like I've seen NHS workers actually do earn enough, but the problem is they don't seem to actually acknowledge that, and so I'm not even sure if NHS workers are even telling the truth when it comes to wages. I've seen them sort of strike and I think unionise and stuff, if I'm not mistaken, at least something like that, because of that. But the problem is, if you're earning like 100,000 like they suggest a year, like, come on. What do you mean you need a second job? If you're actually earning that money, what are you doing with it? I get far less than that in a year, and you're complaining? Yeah, I don't have children, but the point is, if you were to multiply my income as it currently is, it still wouldn't make up that amount. It just makes no sense unless you somehow had like 10 odd children. In that case, yeah, it makes sense that you're complaining, but it's sadly something you brought on yourself, and it's not really our problem. Yeah, I get tired of this discussion too. Again, I like doing what I do at the moment, and that stuff that inspires me. But I can't tolerate people doing the wrong thing, and especially when it comes to hobbies and interests, you really have to make compromises, and with money as well, if that's really the problem. You do need to sort of make a point of, what do I say here? You need to make a point of getting it right, making sure you're not making any mistakes along the way. Yeah, I don't know what else to add, so I'll move on. You know, there's another thing that's really fucked up about when police get, like, you know, utterly fucking decimated in these criminal cases, and it turns out the criminal in question is like an absolute fucking, well, just criminal, really. But like the worst kind, usually. They have convictions of like horrible things, and then it's like, oh, like, fucking great. Like, what are these people doing here? It just genuinely makes no sense. And I see this shit and I just get angry. Because if they've been convicted already, if they've already done horrible shit, why are they out here? That becomes a question, and I think there is a case to be made if obviously police officers themselves are on board with it, to start doing the courts themselves. Because I think a judge at this point is absolutely fucking useless, because they can overthrow a ruling. They don't necessarily need a jury either, which is the other issue. And they create more problems for everyone, including the police. And this shit just gets tiring, because it constantly results in disasters. It results in innocent people dying, results in wasted resources, wasted space, obviously, and even in the UK I think this is even a thing. It's just getting worse and worse. And I think there is a point to be made where police should be the ones doing the court and the legal shit rather than the court. Because that's becoming a thing. And you do need a jury, I think that's important. You need the average person here to make a judgment call too. But holy fuck, the amount of cases, and I just got finished watching a really horrifying sort of video. But the most horrific thing I've seen in a while, when cops fall into deadly traps. Although the thumbnail is fucking clickbait as hell, in a way. Not entirely clickbait, it's actually got an element of that, but it is clickbait. And I wasn't really clicking for that. Just sort of knew that's fake because it looks fake. Somehow I was seeing a body cam of an officer laying down in front of an explosion with the thing. Very weird. But some of the cases in this are just fucking horrific. Like, the way that some people are just so mentally ill, they just hole up in their houses and just commit fucking horrific crimes like traps. They make traps for people or officers who come in, hold hostages. There's even one using a child as bait to shoot some officers. Just fucking horrific. And there's many more like that in this situation. But there are other ones which are kind of worse. There's like a massive explosion. Luckily, the only person who died in that was the person who made the explosion. But there are just other horrific ones. I think the last one was probably somehow one of the worst ones, because yeah, there was one actually where an officer shot his own partner, I think completely by accident, because it was a panic. He was a rookie, and I don't know on like moral grounds if I agree with that, because it was in a response to another gunman. But at the same time, it's kind of like whoever's at the front has to deal the first shot. But I don't know, it's a bit of a weird situation, that. But I think the last clip in that is like the most gut-wrenching one, because it was like the guy didn't seem to be criminal in any way, but for some reason just got so fucking angry and maybe drunk that he just decided to ambush police, going in camouflage and hiding in the bushes, waiting for them to come to his parents' house, for some reason the parents' house, and then he just opened fire on all three fucking police officers there. It's just nuts. And one of them sadly died. He was there screaming in agony on the ground. You could hear him in the distance, and obviously the parents screaming over this. It's fucking horrific. And two of the police officers were injured and they managed to get away. But one of them took an insane shot, like a pistol, from 40 yards away. He managed to kill him instantly, to kill the criminal. But, you know, those miracles don't always fucking happen. Sadly, and also that situation, it could have obviously gone better, but it could have also gone worse. And at the same time, looking at some of the other clips in this, there's one where the cops pulled over a car full of like 3 guys in it, apparently, and there was a child and a dog, I believe. But this guy in the car pulled out a fucking, like an Uzi, but it wasn't an Uzi, I don't think. It's hard to tell guns are which. I'm not very knowledgeable on it. But he like opened fire and the officers are just like gallivanting. I don't know what the fucking term is, the way he's moving. But he seemed like genuinely excited by the idea. And the cops obviously like fucking panicked by this shit. Because it's like, what the hell? Like, they just tried to open the door and he opened it, holding a gun, and aimed it at them. Just insane, and that guy had 23 felonies. Like, before this even happened. Don't you see the problem here? What are these people doing out? And if prisons are full, you have to fucking deal with them another way. You either build more prisons, or you put them somewhere, keep track of them, and you put them to work to do something useful, like community service. But it's fucking nuts. I don't understand how these people are allowed on the streets. The way that guy was just like prancing around, like opening fire, trying to position around the police car to shoot them. Eventually he got shot and killed. Like the officer put about 10 or 20 rounds into him. Doesn't surprise me. I think I would as well. But Jesus fucking Christ, it's absolutely nuts. And I think the 2 guys who are actually being arrested there have got away. Again, it's just more insanity, and this is what I mean with the police deciding how the legal system should be instead of a courtroom. Because the courtroom obviously isn't fucking cutting it these days. When people like this are free, and if it's not the courtroom, find the other issue. Not someone to push misinformation like that. Because a lot of people will blame the judges, but I wonder as well. Maybe it's because the judges know something we don't. But they haven't really explained that. And I wonder in some of these cases as well, if I were to watch some court cases, like what would they say? Like what is this shit we're seeing? What could it be though? Like, I genuinely wonder. Because there has to be a reason. It's just so fucking absurd. So what I keep getting recommended this video when delusional woke people get arrested. Like what? What the fuck are you on about? Like, yes, there are delusional people, but it's not woke people. It's not just woke people. It's really dumb, and they use that as a fucking thing to use against us, as if they haven't already got enough. And people already do point out there's tons of fucking paedophiles and rapists on the far right. So I don't get it. Why are we even going this fucking route? It's so immature and doesn't even get anywhere. Just fucking absurd. What's this about Gen Z protesters not going home? Where does this shit even come from? Again, it doesn't even fucking matter. It's not even relevant as far as I know. This channel I'm just not going to recommend because this is life. Just fuck off. Absolute twats. You really don't know how the world works. Yeah. I don't really know what else to talk about here because it just gets ridiculous. I did see some things recently as well that's sort of worth mentioning. It's like a thingy, what do you call it? Like a story or something. Yeah, politics wise. So there was this thing about Trump saying, again, sort of lends credence to this justice system, but Trump said that China apparently rigged the elections in 2020. And yeah, what else needs to be said? That he's fucking delusional. Clearly has no clue what he's doing, and he doesn't even have any fucking proof. Like, it's just absolutely absurd. He says these things without proof. And, you know, what then? It just doesn't make any sense anymore. Shit like that is annoying. Yeah, obviously something needs to happen in America because you can't keep this guy in power. Something needs to change soon rather than later. So yeah, what else is there? Did see another thing actually. Can't remember what it was now. Yeah, the Charlie Kirk thing. Apparently did not shoot or something. I don't know what that was about. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't really got anything to say on that, to be fair. It's just not really anything, going on there. Just nothing to go on yet, as far as I'm aware. Anyway, I shall move on. I'm tired, boss. Literally. It's physically, mentally. It's getting too much. Sleeping problems are still here, but I am finding that I am recovering a bit in sleep. I managed to sleep about, I think, 7 hours last night or something. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I am getting so fucking tired of all this bullshit and just the context of the world at the moment. It's just becoming so shite. Everything is just going wrong. Wildfires, climate change. Trump for some reason blaming election rigging again. For some reason, even though there was no election rigging in 2020. I don't know. Unless I'm missing something crucial, I don't see it. It wasn't even exposed back then. So what gives? Then even stupider shit, or supposedly stupider shit. There seems to be a lot of misinformation about Zelensky in Ukraine, sort of firing his defence minister apparently. I'm not 100% sure he did, because there's not really much proof of it. It's very weird. It just seems like everyone's going off a whim on this, and I don't know why. On top of that, they're also seemingly just seems to be more issues as well. Like what's going to happen to Ukraine now, or whatever. And I'm seeing an influx in YouTube AI slop, and for some reason anti-woke content. Yeah, why am I being shown anti-woke content? I already know what it's going to say and what it's going to contain, so I don't even need to watch it to know what it says and to have my justification to report it. What the fuck? I've responded to anti-woke things a lot of the time now, but at least 8 years. And that became obvious from my previous position of being anti-woke. I used to be like that. It all sort of started from a thing about, I hate to bring him up because sadly he's passed away, but Total Biscuit. Total Biscuit was a good reviewer for games, he definitely was, and seemed like a nice guy. But during the time he was alive, sadly, he got into some controversy about just really poor taste, like people online. Like people, it's not online actually, it's at a convention I think, and it's someone rushing to the mic or something, asking him, are traps gay? Yeah, that sort of kickstarted it, and it's been a while since I've reflected on all this, but that sort of got me thinking, like, what the fuck does this even mean? What do you mean, are traps gay? And this was before I discovered I was bisexual, so I was thinking, oh, well, yeah, probably. But it's referring to like cosplayers and stuff who obviously dressed femininely, and not necessarily to be trans, but just to be feminine. And those that pulled it off well were considered traps, and I hate the word because it's not correct. But people thought it meant to lure people in, to make you think, like, oh, they're actually really attractive, which ironically is more of a compliment than anything else. So it's very bizarre. But yeah, like, what the hell? It's such a bizarre thing to come across, and then that got me into some sort of rabbit hole with like other anti-woke content creators, like Quartering. I think it's a Gundam, I can't quote though. May have been one. Can't exactly quote on that again. It could be wrong. It may have been a Fallout 76 video. I keep conflating the two because I remember one of them doing a Fallout 76 video, but there are others among that. And yeah, it was a bad fucking situation for sure to be in, and eventually I realised I was wrong. When it came to me that a streamer I watched was lesbian but also trans, I was like, what the hell? Yeah, I grew up watching this person as well. I was a kid thinking she's like one of the cutest women I've ever known, and she was like honestly one of my first crushes, like proper female crushes. And knowing that growing up is like, yeah, honestly I wouldn't marry her, but she's lesbian, and it turns out she's trans. It's like, oh my god, like how, and it made me think like, well, how can someone like her, as innocent as her, be a trans person? The trans people are associated with being criminals, being rapists and stuff, and like they can't. The fact is, the evidence doesn't support it. So I started thinking about it, using critical thinking about what I could do to try and understand this. Like, what gives? Why would someone like this even associate? And then, how could they even pass off as a woman? That was the thing that kept occurring to me as well. And I did the research, and it turns out the transitioning process, that's how it works. They do pass off as women. And that got me into the woke spaces instead, because I was factoring in evidence and critical thinking. So that changed my mind on everything, on top of other things like immigration, for example. I used to have a belief based off what I'd heard in my lifetime that immigration was bad, but it turns out it's not. It's actually good for the world. So it really changed my perspective. And a lot of things changed as well. So I started to realise things I didn't realise before, and that's how I stopped it. And so whenever I see the anti-woke stuff and I reflect on it, what they were saying, there's a lot of things they say that are just bigoted and don't have any evidence, like the trap thing. Like, our trap's gay. The answer is, it can't be. Like, just straight up. I think if you find them attractive, that's not a matter of gender, that's a matter of appearance. It's nothing to do with gender. If you go further, if you for some reason feel the need to ask them out, thinking like, oh, they're a woman, then they are obliged to say that they're actually just cosplaying as a female character, not actually a female. And that's fine. But in the case of like trans women as well, there is a transparency thing here where if there is no bottom surgery or even necessarily top surgery, again, transparency is important. That's how you address these issues. A lot of the bigotry is refuted, is debunked, and that's not the only way to address it. There are many other ways, and a lot of people won't even think of dating a cisgender person anyway. They'd only know someone. They won't just date any person, it'd be people in spaces they know and have got to trust. So again, it refutes a lot of these questions, just very objectively. So it's very important. And again, I'm seeing a lot of this now in current spaces. It just feels like a lot of the bigotry is out there again, just spreading like sadly wildfires, which are also spreading. And yeah, again with the YouTube algorithm, for some reason, thinking my reason to watch like cop videos and body cam footage, it means I'm anti-woke or something, because I like watching, sadly, the amount of black people arrested, because that's what often happens in these videos, even from the trusted channels, and the trusted channel is even kind of a bit dodgy as well. Midwest Safety and Midwest Crime, but they're generally more reliable. But at that point, I'd rather just use a middleman, like a West Critical, who I'm not 100% sure. I think he is an ally, but I couldn't be too sure on that. Because I was saying a while ago, I think, that made me think maybe he's not as big of an ally as he seems. But I think there's only like a mention of something and sort of a little comment on it. I can't remember exactly what it was. It might have been a trans woman claim. Yeah, I don't know. It's very weird. But this is the thing with the internet. You know, I used to think that someone like Asmongold, I used to watch him, and this was back in the right-wing pipeline days. I used to watch someone like him and take his word for it. And he showed his true colours one day in response to a thing about veganism, and it's like, oh, well, actually, he's kind of an idiot. Given he's friends with Destiny, who's pretty much left wing, I was very weirded out. But apparently, he's turned his tune recently into just complete bigotry. And there are even people accusing him of being like a terrorist because of his association with supporting Israel in the genocides. I did see a video again recently as well, a documentary, and I think I might have talked about it actually. It's about the stupidification of the internet and why so many people are stupid. It seems to be a controlled narrative from governments and the algorithms. And so the algorithms are what's hijacking it. And the amount of conversations I've engaged with online regarding like UK politics, where there's sadly a majority of like older people thinking Israel is right about this, and among other things. Also, like, for some reason trying to debunk a claim I make, like, I say you have to provide evidence for these claims, and instead I just get a laugh emoji. What? You're not about progressing? You don't care if you make the wrong decisions? Don't you see the fucking issue here? You idiots? Like, Jesus Christ, it sounds bad, but I really can't wait for some people to be on their deathbeds. It's getting to that point. Like, you people are the scum of the earth. You're worse than paedophiles and rapists. And that's saying something. Your misinformation kills people. And it always has. It's like the COVID stuff. Again, those people, in the same vein, they definitely do cause damage. Oh my god, I'm so fucking tired of this, and this is the point I'm getting to here. I think I'm just gonna take a break from social media. I'm literally starting to like not recommend and not interest a lot of the recommended videos on YouTube now. Yeah, I'm getting so tired of this. I think the only things I watch are related to like the channels I trust, because I can't trust anyone else at this point. It's weird because it's all the same thing, but one's more evident than the other. And I think that's really showing itself. It's showing what it is to be. Like the true colours of these things. So, yeah, once again, it's getting a bit stupid. It's getting a bit out of hand, but it is out of hand, what I'm saying. It's getting dangerous, and I need to pick my sides, I think, and at this point in time, being as unbiased as I can be, and I'll still try to be, yeah, I have to pick my side here, and that's obviously going to have to be the left, the socialist, because that's what's evident. When you look at the right, it's like they don't provide any evidence. The evidence hierarchy, it dictates things, because you can reflect this, you can find proof of this, of the hierarchy working. But it dictates that anecdotes do not count as like a, what do you call it, like a form of evidence. On top of that, you can't also believe everything a media channel says, or a news channel says, like Fox, like BBC, because they are often funded, and GB News for that matter too. But again, they're all often funded by a conflict of interest, and that adds a lot of weight to things. So it's absurd. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, again, I really don't know. It's a bit stupid. Yeah, I don't know what to add. I think that's about it. I just want to say that I'm gonna just tone down on everything, social media stuff and news stories, and even then the body cam footage was all, it's not doing good for me. And I need to comment on something else actually. I've been having about a week or two of no sugar drinks. Yeah, it's weird. Like, I think it's working, but I also don't think it's working. It is strange. Because I had a toothache the other night, and it only lasted about 30 minutes compared to the hours it lasts. So actually, it's like 20 minutes. It's last night. But sometimes I just get issues every now and then. It's just bizarre. I don't know what it is. But I also noticed my mental health does decline a bit on sugar drinks, non-sugar drinks, I mean, which I've noticed now and a few hours ago. I've just been a bit more agitated, and I just don't seem to be as inspired and stuff. I do see a few consequences, but I have to make that fucking sacrifice. This is just no other choice. It's my teeth or my mind, but it's hard to pick. Is my teeth more important with the pain I'm experiencing? Yeah, but my mind, for the like hour or two that it lasts, or even just a tiny bit longer than that, and barely through the next day, I think it's just far better. On top of that, one of the things I'm happy about with just going no sugar other than potentially dying quickly. I think the other thing is I get to have more of a range of things to try. Yeah, I've tried a lot of decent things actually in the last few weeks, like a 7-Up Zero pink lemonade. It's actually decent. And then I tried a Dr. Pepper Zero Cherry, which was also pretty decent, tasted just like Cherryade. Like I almost remembered it. I wouldn't say it's like the best one I've had, but it's good. And it's good that there's also a canned Cherryade brand on it. Because I'm fed up with bottles. I hate fucking bottles, they suck. Every time I drink from them, I get a plasticky taste from it, which I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to get, but I taste it anyway. Yeah, a very good alternative. And what else? And what else is there? That's what I tried. Pepsi cream soda. The Pepsi cream soda was okay. It had a weird taste, very different. But I could have it again if it's an option. Have it over other things. I need to retry that ordinary Coke Zero and Coke Cherry, although I don't like the brands to be fair. I tried Pepsi Max Zero, it's decent. I won't say it's anything special. And I'm due to try Tropical at some point, and I won't bother trying the lime because I know what Coke lime tastes like. Very weird combination. I don't exactly recommend it, but if you like lime, it's something to lime for you. Anything else? I don't know. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to talk about. I'm noticing as well that weirdly enough I have an opposite effect in terms of mood actually. It might be that it's triggering like bipolar or something. Or even just elevating my mental health issues to bipolar, because that's what it kind of feels like. But I noticed I have really good ops, like I make music and I'm sort of enjoying doing it. I'm not that stressed out by it. The only thing I get stressed out by is a waste of time that I get from this or distractions or just other things, which is really annoying. Really not helpful. I also need to cut down on yapping on here. What else? The other positive thing, I suppose I do get a bit excited about certain things again. Just something that wasn't really present before exactly. That was kind of a struggle. It's weird, I just go back and forth between some of these problems, it seems. Not sure if it's again the sweeteners in the drink or something else. As for sleep, actually, getting off to sleep seems to be a bit improved now, which is very interesting because it shouldn't be. Even despite the lack of exercise, and I do try to exercise each day now. And sugar intake and calories, I'm not noticing any weight loss, which is kind of the thing, the point of it. But I'm having already like sparkling drinks anyway, so I should have been having weight loss, but no, I'm not intentionally doing weight loss either. I can't notice it. I need to weigh myself again. I haven't done that in a while actually. I'll just go by like vibes and also have my bed that sort of meshes to my fall, and a chair as well, if that does. And also treadmill shaking. I would say it's shaking a bit more now, but I'm not even eating more. I had like a third of a packet of candy cane soya peanuts earlier, which isn't too much, but there's a lot of sugar in it. But breakfast I'm having like a new Oatly brand chocolate thing, chocolate deluxe or something. I will get, I think either Oatly or soy chocolate from Outpro. I don't like Oatly that much as a brand, but it's out there, and I guess it's better to support them than some of the other shite out there. It's better than supporting dairy, I can tell you that much. But yeah, again, I'm just considering my options here and doing stuff. Oh, I have started to get indigestion. I don't know what the fuck that's about. I'm gonna finish up my Gavel Skull and then get a vegan brand, because I've already used about 12 of these, which is kind of nuts. Actually, almost 12. This is the. Hang on, this is 48. Oh, it's because there's 6 blister packs, okay. So I've used 8. Including this one. Yeah, I don't like these. They taste horrible. I can sort of taste the death in them from the animals, which is horrid. But they do the job. So it's fine. I'm not going to put it to waste, and it's out of date, but it works. I don't know if that's good or bad. But I will say stress as well. I'm getting for various things. It is impacting me. I have to mention that. The stress is causing a bit of a problem for me now. I noticed when I'm masturbating, I can't keep hard like I used to. It seems very difficult, and I'm going for longer as well, which is really annoying. I can sort of force it if I'm careful enough, if I'm calculated, if I use my imagination. If I imagine hard enough, that's the difference. But I'm trying and stuff. Also, I'm having to do it again because the orgasms keep failing. That's the worst part of it. I can't even get stiff, and then I just get a very unsuccessful orgasm. I don't get that sort of high that I would get. And the last few days, or day or two, rather, it's felt kind of dry. I can't really achieve it properly, and even the one earlier was a better one. But it annoys me so much. It makes me wish there was a sort of device or maybe even like drug where you can just orgasm instantly or for longer, maybe. So maybe you could feel something. God, imagine one they make it go longer. That'd be hot as fuck. Sorry to get detailed. Yeah, that'll be fun. So yeah, I don't really know what else to add. I think I've talked about everything of the updates so far. I've just finished a bit of artwork as well. That's actually another thing that's happened. It's not a tedious bit of artwork, it's just characters. I've managed to do some more characters for Calls Roots. Actually, I could show them a bit. I'm not sure about sharing them. I don't really know where or how I could share it. I guess I'll just include it in the next thingy, thingamajiggy, whatever you call it, the episode. Yeah, I've got Gopher, the goat, in his outfit for healing, and an interesting book on there where I included a lady demon with a penis. There's a family of bear, his partner, and the children they have adopted. There's Delik, non-binary Canadian moose, and armour, a Fluff. I decided to go with like a Reaper outfit for Fluff as like an armoured thing, because they're all pretty much armoured except for obviously the family. Fluff, yeah, I mean I couldn't figure out what to do with him, so I just ended up doing like a sort of worn down, sort of like, I don't know, like leather armour plating, or like, what's it, equivalent of leather. I think it's very interesting though. I like the designs I've done. I've also done the. Actually, I wrote an episode recently. Can't remember if I shared it, but it's got an explanation as to what the swords do, if they are sword users. And basically, I've dumbed it down to having an M sword and a T sword, I believe. Yeah, I think it's a T sword, and there's even like a P sword if people can use it. It's like a paw or a H sword. I think both work. But it basically stands for, each letter stands for the body part that's used. So there's like an endless possibility of what can be used, and could even be like antler swords. I haven't considered that before. But that's sort of how they do the weapon system. And then it's like a dual user, so he has both, which is really cool. Sort of a big gimmick, and he's wearing his rubies, which he earned from heroic things. Although one of them was more of an investigative thing, which he made a breakthrough on. Yeah, it's only very interesting. I'm exploring more lore now with that. Just could mention it. Just an update, so I sort of expanded the world a bit more as well. I've managed to figure out how. I need to do a map. I almost forgot about that. Actually, I call it this thing called the Pravigate. As you might see in episode 11. But it's the way the humans have gone onto this planet and how animals have gone onto their planet. and I'll sort of explain it in this episode. There is a hidden secret as to why they're there and why they're sort of infiltrating and stuff. Yeah, there's going to be some interesting parts as a result of it, I think. I'm sort of enjoying making the story in areas. I think some parts are not great, but other parts are good. I'm doing a really good job of the foreshadowing, I think, if not too obvious in areas. But I've got some extra lore. I've got even a new character coming up eventually. Yeah, I'm starting exploring this. It's a good series to sort of stick my mind to whilst I'm doing other things, something eating lunch or something, watching a TV show. And yeah, I'm playing Final Fantasy 14 at the moment. Speaking of which, where's the D-Rock Atlantic update? Summer update. God, I've been waiting for this for a year now. Still not here. Jesus, where is it? Did they do it in August or something? The last activity was May 6th. Oh, what the hell? I'm waiting for an update. I don't know. Anyway, that's about it, so let's move on. Well, this is a story. Also, it's not a good story. It's positive in a way, though. Not perfect. So, how do I talk about this? Basically, I wanted to explain how different my opinions become on people when I learn something about them, and it's very niche topic, obviously. As it relates to my personal beliefs and ideals, obviously, and I think it's a important topic. But when people express their political opinion, I start to change on my view on them, and it's usually people who are sort of in the spotlight, or even just people in my life. And unfortunately, there aren't too many bad people in my life. I would say there's weird opinions, but I'll say my opinion of them sort of remains mostly unchanged, fortunately. But I think the reason why it has such a big impact, and why I think it affects others, although you need a level of tolerance at least to just get by, the reason why it impacts me is because it is just a shot in the face, essentially, or shot in the foot to myself and to the people that they supposedly side with. So I'll say a lot of these things because that is what happens. If you believe in sort of the anti-woke crowd, you are contributing to these problems. You contribute to society's problems. And that's why I feel so strongly about this. So when I see someone being like blatantly anti-migrant, I'm like, dude, yeah, it's completely fucked. Like, it always has been. And that just changes my opinion. That's why I look at controversial bans, if they do exist. And really the limit for me is when they're actively got an opinion I can't really sympathise with. Although it does sometimes really put a spotlight on the stupidity they have, even if I've been through that myself. And it really pushes the point home. I'm thinking of like when I found out about Bruce Dickinson for some reason backing Brexit, even though I love Iron Maiden. Bruce just makes the band kind of in that sense, because he's the most controversial figure in that, as far as I'm aware. Other than Harris, who apparently had some weirdness with like the vocalists mixed up and stuff. But those sort of things play on my mind, even though I like the band and what they produce. It's a bit different to something like Iced Earth, where the lead guitarist was part of the January 6th storming the Capitol in the US, and it's like, why? You make good music and you fucking waste it on something trivial like this about losing a fucking election. It's incredibly stupid, and obviously an incredibly stupid person for that. And I think it goes without saying that this is pretty much unacceptable to me. So as a result, I've pretty much blocked out Iced Earth because it's just absolute shite. But then there are other bands where they are controversial, and that changes my view on them. Something like Disturbed I won't even listen to now, because being a Zionist is, in this day and age, should be unacceptable and treated as a terrorist threat. Yeah, and that's strongly based on evidence. It's not just me saying it to get a gotcha or even just influence a position. From a level of corruption, it's literally the truth. Zionists are dangerous people. They always have been, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, Disturbed, blacklist. But then there's a lesser controversial point, like for example the lead vocalist, I believe, or All That Remains. I think it's the only one who's saying this shit. But basically, the vocalist is quite transphobic. I wouldn't say it's like massively transphobic from what I've seen, but it is quite transphobic. And it's not good, especially given they made a song about, you know, not giving up, with like suicidal thoughts and stuff. And that's really counterpoint because, you know, sadly a lot of the suicidal people end up being like trans people and autistic people. And saying shit like this is just, it's awful. Like, why are you being transphobic? In a kind world, you wouldn't have these fucking issues. You wouldn't even be saying this shit. And if you were even intelligent enough to do the research, you would have figured this out at some point. Like, why do people go trans? You know, I'm always a bit worried to do a sort of Google search on this, like, or rather startup search. I'll do one now. Why are people trans? Let's see. So, first post, I'll search on transgender. The cause of being transgender is a pretty upvoted post, and they say they're not questioning it, the validity of being trans is not transphobic, and being supportive of true selves, but they're saying what exactly is transgender. So I'm actually a woman for why I'm a male with feminine personality traits, so it's a good question. But this is the research you do. You read through this and you determine what you think it is and how you interpret it. And let's see what APA says, American Psychological Association. Understanding transgender people and gender identity and expression is an umbrella term for those whose gender identity, expression or behaviour does not conform with that typically associated with sex, to which sign of birth. Yeah, so very much is a thing, and they say that it's documented that trans people have always existed. Difference between sex and gender is an important question. Yeah. What subtypes and categories of transgender people, and explain that. Why are some people trans? Interesting this, there is no single explanation for why some people are transgender. Diversity of transgender expression, experiences argue against any simple or unitary explanation. Many experts believe that biological factors such as genetic influences and prenatal hormone levels, early experiences, and experiences later in adolescence or adulthood will contribute to the development of transgender identities. Interesting, they don't mention like dysphoria or anything, but that sort of relates to the biological factor anyway, with like the hormone levels, so it's kind of easy to connect the dots there if I'm not mistaken. That's just my head canon of this. How prevalent are trans people? It's difficult to estimate yet. But again, just do this research. It's not hard. I'm using Startpage to search this, and you know, all of the results are pretty much basically talking about what it is. It's not making a point about in favour of or against. It's just making a point. So yeah, just fucking weird. So yeah, it's very weird. I don't really know what to think. So again, I'm trying to think of other people, like, you know, hearing about even like US senators and stuff. I remember Gavin Newsom, I think, was making a big campaign against Trump, but for some reason not only allows but also sort of funds, I think, anti-trans ideology. It's just shit. I respect him as a Democrat and someone who's against Trump, but I don't respect him for this shit. And I wouldn't vote for him if there was an option. If there's no other option, sadly, you'd have to go with him. But that's sort of what I'm talking about here. Your opinion changes of people, and even Bernie Sanders apparently, I think, had some similar beliefs, I believe. And he's apparently responsible for some things too. He used to be, I think, in favour of the genocide in Gaza. And he turned his tune on that, which is good. My fucking god. It's weird how misinformed people get, and even with something recently, like, what was it, the Ukrainian protests that are happening at the moment. There's so much misinformation about it, and we don't have a solid answer as to why they're protesting. And immediately people are going to comment sections, and I think there's even some politicians, not tons though, just saying that the same things. It's not even proven yet. Saying that HYPERSKY got fired, and saying that the entire population for Ukraine are either against him or are wanting him back, which I feel like it's not really getting to the bottom of things, and all the media about it seems to be censored, which is very bizarre. So it's not even a very solid piece of evidence. And yeah, again, like Zelensky, like, why haven't I talked about Zelensky? When I heard him talking about AI murder bots before, I was kind of like, what the fuck? Like, why, man? You know, this is dystopian as hell. I get you need to have the advantage, but murder bots is kind of take it too far. And how are you even going to do that when we haven't even mastered the bloody things anyway? They keep falling over and shit. So what's even the point? It's so bizarre. I don't like it, obviously, this direction that HYPERSKY's going. But this stuff as well, if it's to be believed, is not great either. I think it is really worrying. So it has to be said. That's exactly why my opinion changes. If you're doing things against humanity, you arguably shouldn't be in society. If anything, go to a fucking island on your own. Figure things out yourself. If you're so clever, why don't all these anti-woke people just go on the same fucking island? Yeah, there has to be somewhere out there for them to inhabit. I really think that goes without saying, because these people do not belong in a society. You know, take whatever you want with you, but for everyone's fucking sake, just leave us alone. Go away. It's the same if people even want to follow them in their footsteps. If there's like a transphobe who wants to follow in their footsteps, or like I mentioned before, Zionist who wants to follow in their footsteps, go the fuck ahead. I mean, know what side you're on if you do that. It's pathetic. And then, you know, there's obviously things I could think of to do with that island in the future, but you know, there's another question, another debate entirely. But again, it's ridiculous, and this is why I care. I try to be tolerant. As I said, I still listen to the bands despite these issues, but again, it's prickly when they've got like one spike up, and that's again a prick. That's literally and physically a prick, and you can't avoid that. It's always going to be there, hence causing issues, hence causing conflict. So yeah, I don't really know what else to add, so I'll move on. For some reason I feel like this will be a thing that's taken out of context, but I'll respond to it, because I find it incredibly stupid. But basically, when they say that trees have rights, and when they say animals have rights, it's not to say that they're fucking getting the ability to vote. Yeah, but it's actually meaning that they are granted rights to basically exist, to basically live. And those are the sort of rights that everyone advocates for: environmentalists, animal rights, obviously probably others out there. There's probably more to do with human rights as well. But that's what we advocate for. And to take that out of context is to be a complete dumbass, really. There's no other way to describe that. Because that's all it stands for. It's all the rights stand for. So obviously with Canada, apparently one of the states, I think, if I'm not mistaken, if I've read it right, it believes that trees have rights now, and I'm already seeing the amount of responses to that. They're gonna strawman it, they're gonna mislead it as red herrings. It's gonna get ridiculously out of hand with the responses, the type of responses there are. And I see that happening, and that's obviously got my response there to that bullshit. Because obviously it's just going to be taken out of context, as it tends to be in these cases. Yeah, I don't know what else to even add to that. Again, it's ridiculous. I really do think we need to have some sort of a way to actually get these people under sort of surveillance and then make sure that they're not spreading this misinformation, because it's literally so ridiculous. There's so much fucking misinformation out there, and I can't believe that this is the reality we're in, where people will stupidly believe this crap and think, yeah, well, climate change isn't real. Those people are dangerous. I can't underestimate, I can't even understate or how bad they are. It's terrible. And these are the sorts of people, again, that we need in prison, literally. Because that's how bad they are. You know, they should be treated the same as murderers. Because they are. This is what they advocate for, the climate deniers. These people, for that matter, who just pretend not to understand their rights. It's too stupid to realise. Shouldn't even be in society if they're going to be this way. Or wants to, they need to be somewhere else. Or perhaps there is a place that exists, like not necessarily an asylum. They should probably exist for mentally ill people who have done no harm. But I'm talking about somewhere where these idiots can live, where someone much smarter than them can oversee everything and decide all decisions, and they get to live our life, although be a bit stupidly, and still contribute to society in some way. But yeah, again, I feel like there's so much danger around this, and I can't stress it enough. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add, to be honest. So that's about it. Let's move on. Oh my god, this has been a nightmare. So, I've got a important appointment coming up, a colonoscopy. And this is just a checkup, I believe, but it would be good to figure out if they maybe misdiagnosed me, because that would be a relief. Although it doesn't exactly explain the inflammation levels, which is another thing. I reckon that it could reveal something pretty crucial about my health, and I'm hoping it's nothing serious, obviously. Although to be fair, I deserve to die. I just don't care anymore. I'm fed up with this planet. But other than that, I attempted to do some research as well, because they have a list of like high fibre foods that you can have. And I tried to do some research. High fibre? I mean low fibre. So I tried to do research, as you should, this sort of thing, and not many people do, which is a bit weird and annoying. And it's really difficult. The NHS provides a PDF file, which is not very helpful, because it's not specific enough. It just says something like white bread, and I just don't understand, like white flour, like what? Like what is white flour? Because as far as I know, they only do wheat flour. So it doesn't make any fucking sense from that perspective either. It's like they hadn't thought it through. So I'm just gonna go with whatever white bread I have, and if it's not the right one, tough shit. You should have said a brand instead. It's so fucking dumb. But yeah, I'm doing the research and I've done it. I've made a fucking list and tried to piece together what I can eat, because it's going to be crucial to what I can eat, because last time I did the prep incorrectly, apparently. They told me the wrong thing, because it's different now. Different to what it was for some reason. They've done this for years. So I don't know what gives with that. So, yeah, apparently I ate fibre before the point where I shouldn't have. So I had it on day 5, day 4, and even day 3. And it was only day 2 and also the last day I could eat. I had it, so very weird. I'm not gonna lie, it's such a strange issue to have. But yeah, like, anyway, I sort of that bird's really annoying. If I find a bird annoying, it's just distracting more than anything else. But yeah, I've made a list and I'll go through it, obviously, because it's quite interesting. Because even for like a diet with no animal products like I've got, it's quite difficult to plan still. But I figured something out from the likes and dislikes I have, and it actually brings me back to something that I used to do. Well, whatever I have for breakfast, although I don't now, because I prefer things I have at the moment, which is like good fibre and stuff. Although, it does remind me actually, I'm struggling with inflammation and constipation at the moment. So maybe I could have those sort of low fibre days because I'm having too much fibre. But then again, my other meals should make up for that, so I don't even know. Anyway, so I've written down a list of like a shopping list, and I'll explain the things instead of what I'm getting. So 7th and 6th day, as normal but no seeds. That's the advice that they've given. So yeah, and I think what do I say as normal but no seconds? Oh, because I have to plan it ahead, obviously. I can't have like make a meal enough for 2 days like I make a curry or something, or even have a takeaway, because that'll be quite disruptive. But on that day I seemingly start that, so I have like 1, 2, 3, 4 days to make meals. Basically, for day sort of 0, as it will be, from the start of this, and coincidentally enough, it starts from the start of the month. But from the day before that, I have to do for lunch pasta, cheese, marmite, and yogurt. That's going to be my lunch. I'm going to do a big portion of pasta, so I make sure that I'm sort of not hungry when it comes to that. So I should do enough anyway. So that's going to be lunch, and then breakfast obviously I haven't mentioned because it mainly contains. Actually, that's a good point. I can't add flaxseed or flax seeds. I might as well put that. No seconds of flax seeds, yeah. But I can have oats as normal, I think, and then obviously I'll start this prep for that day because it's like exactly 96 hours before, is it? I'm thinking of. Wait, no, that's 3 days, so about 100 and something hours anyway. So yeah, I'm just trying to plan it out. For dinner, I'll have basmati rice and soy sauce with tofu and hoisin sauce. Because I have some like flying goose hoisin sauce, which I'm pretty sure is vegan. I did check it before I bought it. The flying goose hoisin sauce. It's actually not bad. Oh, fuck's sake! Why does start page not fucking show the right thing? There it is. Hoisin sauce. Yeah, it has vegan on the front. Yeah, duh. It's a big bowl, which is good. It should last. I don't know. Would it? It's a good question, actually. Would it last until that day? It's like yellow on my conservatory. Oh, that's outside. I'm an idiot. It's a reflection. Yeah. So what's next? Oh God. And yeah, basically it's the same thing the next day, except breakfast will be what I start with, which will be white bread, butter, marmite, double dose of marmite. I like marmite, and a breakfast tea as usual. And yeah, but I haven't had that in a long time. I haven't had just pure white bread like on I'll try to have it unfrozen, assuming it doesn't go off by then. But I haven't had that in such a long time. I could even make it for the next day. I could do batches, and that would work. Yeah, it's not a bad idea actually. It preps me for that. That should go well, I think. Hopefully. So I'll have that done. And yeah, usual tea, and apparently non-dairy milks are fine, even though they say it's not good for the day before. The day before I think it is, which I find a bit weird. It's a strange thing to make a comment on exactly, because what are we doing here? Are we prepping or are we not prepping? So I'm a bit confused. That just didn't make sense to me in the slightest. But I'll have tea as usual most days. But it's the same breakfast throughout the thing until the day before. And I'll explain the day before thing because it says 2 days before, but I cannot fucking cope under hunger. I get really bad. I get really panicky and it triggers anxiety and stuff, so I don't know what I could do about that. I think there's anything I could do for that matter, so it doesn't help. But yeah, basically I'll do that. But then that's days 0 to 1, then 2 to 3 will be something else for lunch and dinner. Did I say tofu? Yeah, I said tofu. It'll be couscous, like flavouring, vegan mayo, and then I might have a rice or cornflake cereal and yogurt to fill up because I know the couscous is too like what do you say, like filling. I've had them plenty of times before. I think of getting instant ones instead of a packet, even though packet would be helpful. But I think the problem with the packet ones is they can have stuff in it. The instant ones, I mean. So if I get whole, it might be better. But at the same time, I don't like it. I'd just rather get something with flavour. Because that way I don't have to flavour it much. So I can still eat it properly. But yeah, it's like a very weird situation that I don't exactly know what to do about it. So yeah, that's the lunch there. And the cereal should be simple, it's rice cornflake cereal. And the yogurt is just there for probiotics and prebiotics and stuff. Although it would just help me fill up as well. Good question. They have fruit in if it's Alpro, so I don't exactly know what one I can have then. I guess I'll just have to have it then. And it's just a small amount as well. Problem is, it has seeds, so why are they even suggesting it? Again, I'm confused by this. Their guidelines don't make any sense, or not guidelines, but advice. Let's see, it just says vegan yogurt, but it doesn't say, like, not to have the ones with fruit in. And you're not supposed to have fruit. Because it'll have the skin, it'll have the seeds. And it says on the fruit, like, no seeds, skins, membranes, or dried fruit. But it has that. Well, it's contradicting advice. It includes berries, pineapples, apples, oranges, watermelon, bananas. So basically every fucking flavour of yogurt there is. I'll have to double check. I'll go to my local food shop and see. This is a health store, I don't know. I just do vegan yogurt, I don't know. But they do other ones, they do plain, which is probably better. Vanilla, but that's probably better as well. Cherry, they do whole ones for that, which is fine. I guess, does it last? Them's the question I have. Coconut would be decent. Strawberry can't have. So it's good that they do like a non-fruit one. Coconut cola, maybe. Chocolate ones, I imagine, would be fine. This chocolate isn't one that's on there. Yeah, it's just looking like the coconut and vanilla one. Can't see anything else, and I know this place doesn't do flavours that I want to try, which is annoying, so I might not even have a choice there. I don't see anything on the vanilla one. It just says 100% plant-based thing with no ingredients, apparently. Great. Excellent fucking shop, guys. As a fucking joke. What fucking piss take. Go on, I'm not going there for this. thankfully, go somewhere else. And they are one of the worst sites to do vegan shopping on. Literally, they mislabel things and they remove the filter. So, you know, what's the point? It is stupid. I think Vegan Society should sue them actually, because it technically has taken money out of their trademark and stuff and away from their partners, which I think is really dumb. That's literally what it's done. So yeah, I think they 100% should be sued. That's the so yeah. So for dinner for these other days, the other two, I just got the same thing again, basically with a different flavour. I think I'll try to go with basmati rice and a sauce of some sort. Not sure, maybe ketchup, maybe vegan mayo. I don't know. They might say no ketchup, but fuck off because there ain't much choice. I ain't got much choice there. Marinated tofu should be fine. I had that last time and it was fine. Didn't see any remnants of it when I watched my colonoscopy happen. Again, it was only the cucumber that I saw. Don't remember much else. Yeah, again, there's so many ridiculous things in this, and it really does frustrate me because it feels too complicated. Like, there should be a meal plan for people, and there should be like a service that you can use to figure it out, which is a no-brainer. But that's basically the gist of it. That's all my meal. And then I think on the day before, I'll fill up on as much as I can to see me through the day and part of the next day. So I'm not like suffering as a fucking result, because I do not want to go through the fucking hunger pains I have and the anxiety that it causes me. It's too dangerous. And I don't even know how shaky I'll get in that, because the problem is I do get really bad shakes when I'm hungry. Actually, it has triggered panic attacks before, and that doesn't help, and it causes more stress than it should. And I don't remember it happening last time, to be fair. I think it was more like a nerves thing more than anything else. But Jesus Christ, again, some of the advice is just terrible here. I just don't understand the point, really. Just a lot of this seems very just off-putting and stuff, and they should make the prep easier, or at least give an option where you can just like ignore the prep entirely. Like, go for a fucking thing, get sedated, have your intestinal parts like washed out if that's possible, either through a laxative or something else. Like, you drink something, you get sedated, they suck it out. Safely, obviously, as you have to do it safely. It's quite a sensitive area, I think, but the point is, they shouldn't have to do this shit. Like, why do I have to prepare this? This is confusing. It's real dumb. But it's like a 4-day meal course I've figured out before even going to the prep. And then I have to take the thingy, actually, I might write that down. I'll take the prep here. I don't know what they said about taking it, when to take it. If it's after or before, and also I could do with getting a flavoured tea. I think about it. I need to double check that actually, because I like my tea. But I'm starting to run low. I have hot chocolate, but I don't know if that's going to be any good. I like hot chocolate, but again, I'm not sure if that's safe. Is it? It's just say like hot cocoa, but I don't know if that refers to hot chocolate. Again, it's so fucking vague. I can't figure this out. And again, it's up to them if they can't figure this out themselves. So yeah, look at teas. Like Yorkshire tea multi-boo. It's quite nice. I'll write that down. Just look at these. Trying to find like sweeter ones, so that's what I prefer the tea. Anything else? Looking. I don't mind mint tea, but it just tastes a bit shit sometimes. I haven't found a good mint tea in quite a long time, which is annoying. Also, what happened to caramelised biscuit Yorkshire tea? Because that used to be really good, but I don't know. It said it was vegan. I thought Yorkshire tea, sticky toffee, but is that going to be vegan? I guess not. Natural flavourings, whatever that is, that should be illegal, by the way. has always fucking annoyed me. You shouldn't call something natural flavourings when it has a flavour. It's so dumb. Oh, it's vegan. Alright, sure. I'll look for that actually. There's someone that would like to try that. Yeah. So let me write that down. Sure. Although, I'll write that down also. Which is a bit better, I'll do it for the week after. Even then I could just plan ahead. Yeah, that's my colonoscopy prep idea, because I tried looking for this online. And literally the first YouTube result felt like an AI video, and then they mentioned I ran it through ChatGPT. Bye. I'm not going to listen to ChatGPT for colonoscopy prep. They're probably going to fucking kill me. That's probably what they're going to do. Well, what a piss take again. Yeah, it's just so shite. I put Yorkshire tea, why not? Yorkshire tea, malty, / sticky toffee, that'd be good. Sticky finger. Become a JoJo stand. Yeah, that's the prep, so I'll obviously have to write that down next week and plan it out, because that is important. It's going to be useful, helpful for me, for sure. Also, not a bad price, these teas, actually. Like 40 bags for £2.50, it's like... I can't math. Actually you can math. It's about... Is it... not 2p, 20p? No, 2... No. I'm fucking confused now. I'm gonna have to calculate, so... I don't know what's wrong with me today. 40 divided by... £2, 2.5, 16. So 16p per bag? No, it'd be 1.6p, wouldn't it? I'm confused. Maybe I've done it wrong. I don't know, something there probably. And the money, it's just not bad. If I was to divide it by 2, I think you get a better answer. It's probably about similar thing, maybe 4p per bag. Sounds about right, actually. Yeah, I don't know anymore. Too out of it at the moment. But yeah, anyway, I ain't really got anything else to add, so that's it, so let's move on. Well, I don't really talk about food very often, but this one has me surprised and shocked, because it is just so insane. So, I've been through a lot of alternatives before, and when I was going gluten-free, just to see if that helped my digestive system, which it didn't, by the way, I tried so many freeform alternatives, and I even tried something called satay sauce, but this satay sauce has no nuts in it. It was from Tesco, and crazily enough, it tastes exactly like satay sauce. Like, it's pretty nuts. Pun intended. And yeah, I just couldn't believe it. Just had a crazy good flavour for what it was, and given it had not a single nut in it, it really showed how you can actually make these things without the ingredients are triggering to allergies and intolerances. And recently, I haven't really been on the biggest like tasting trends, because I just find it a bit tiring at times. And of course, because of the heat wave, I haven't been able to go out, so I can't necessarily find anything new. But there was this one thing I had a year ago called Candy Kittens Salted Peanuts, and they do another one as well, another alternative. I can't remember. Actually, pardon you, I think it's corn. They do. But I was looking at the back of this because I thought, if these are chocolate, why are they not melting? And why don't they just fucking, like get on my fingers and stuff like they usually do, like chocolate does? And I looked on the back and it said it's coated in Choco Viva, chocolate sunflower powered buddy. And I looked at the ingredients: chocolate alternative made from sunflower seeds and brown sugar shell. And it literally is. There's not a single ounce of cocoa in here. A chocolate fucking alternative. Like what? it's insane. It's good. This is a point. We need to see more creativity like this, but this is just so good. And it tastes like chocolate peanuts. It's actually insanely good for what it is. And I'm surprised. I really think this is kind of the future with products like this. You know, I know there's already a problem with like cocoa, and I think there's a cocoa shortage if I'm not mistaken. But I eat chocolate, but I would like to cut down on it, if that makes sense. Even though it's good for you, I would just like to cut down on it. And this paves the way for alternatives. It paves the way for solving some of these problems and making it cheaper as well, assuming it is cheap. So it just says like sunflower seeds and brown sugar. I don't know how cheap they are, but it could be. I don't know. But I'm just so impressed by that. It shocked me. It's just one of those things we need to start to see more of, because everyone's going to have a weird taste and everyone's going to have different preferences. And I like the Candy Kittens brand anyway, because they are generally tasty. This is the main appeal for me. I've had so many Candy Kitten stuff, and they're just really good. Candy and stuff, and although the only bad thing is sugar content in these, and this one was very sugary. Like even a third of the packet is about 50-60% of your daily intake, which is not good. Given how small the packet is, it's not great. So it's really just like a snacking thing. Even then, it's not good for that. It's not good health-wise, but I think there's something to iron out along the line. But for the alternatives I've tried by them, they're really good. I'm genuinely surprised. And yeah, what do I even say? I just hope more of this comes and people also catch on to it. I think it's a crazy alternative out there that I feel like mentioning. Definitely really good. So anyway, that's all. So let's move on. I cannot remember if I've talked about this, but I think I might as well. My PC, and actually I think I might, when I get it, I might just go behind the fucking drawers. I just thought about a way to hook it up with the plug and stuff, but my PC has an issue at the moment where I think it has something to do with my room cutting out power, which is new. But given the amount of power cuts we've had here actually in the last few months alone, it kind of makes sense that it would fuck up through just being fucked up because of the power cuts or whatever's happening here. I don't even know. I've tried to keep track of it and stuff, and it just doesn't really come up with any answers. But this issue is actually quite big, because it may be the biggest issue with my PC now. And previously it was just the lag spikes that happened every now and then. They weren't terrible, but they were annoying. And even then, the worst thing before that was the video drivers just stopping randomly or cutting out, not working after that. And it got annoying, and also I wanted to relook at the thingy, the callers and stuff that they have here at PC Specialist. But now, it just randomly turns off, just for no reason. It feels like a power cut, it's almost like a pseudo power cut, but it's on the computer itself, and I don't know what's causing it. I had to tune my CPU fan like 2-3 years ago, when it's fine by the way, to basically be always running at high speed because it was overheating. And it was the only fix for a blue screen issue I had, which I haven't actually talked about before, but I think it is important to mention. So I had to do something about it. Pretty much, there's no doubt in my mind that I had to do something. So I ended up doing that, and it just kinda worked. It didn't have any issues after that. Didn't have a blue screen for a long time, and even then, the only one I had recently is probably like a year ago or so now. And I can't even remember what that was, to be honest. Again, it's quite a situation, because it's just so weird and rare, I guess. Yeah, like, I don't really know what to say about it. It's just what the fuck is going on? Is my response to that, because I just don't understand it. It feels very silly, really, and I don't really know what to say. It's kind of one of these things, I just don't understand what is going on with this thing exactly. How it's happening, what's happening, whatever. Yeah, I think for callers actually, I could consider just the RGB version in the Arctic. Yeah, I think I just need to look at benchmarks of it again, because that's kind of where I'm stuck again. Because if I have to get RGB RAM, why don't I just go with full RGB, assuming I could turn it off? I actually need to look that up, to be fair. I'm assuming you can adjust it, but I don't know. Then again, I'm getting a thermaltake fan on the back, but I'll look at the other stuff just in case. Just in case it's better or works somehow more efficiently. I would have rather gone an Noctua fan, even if it's just a crappy coloured one. But there isn't really any in stock for some reason. They used to stock it at PC Specialist. I had no idea what happened to them. I would have happily taken the brown coloured ones, just because it's efficient. And it would have gone well on the Silverstone PC if I had chosen that. I decided not to choose that because I think cooling and sound is more important. But yeah, just wanted to say this is a bizarre issue I'm encountering at the moment. It's only ever happened midday, and I think with the aircon on, but I can't exactly replicate that because it's been fine like 90% of the time. And no issue, it's just been like flash or something with this, but even then the aircon's not even linked to the same electricity system, I don't think. So I don't even know what's going on. You know, in the best case scenario, I would have actually tried to bloody rearrange my room, I think. Like, I don't even know which way I could have it around, to be honest. Yeah, this place is just frustration upon frustration, really. I just find so many issues with it, and I'm not sure if, again, the electricity issues that happened before, which caused these power issues, because it wasn't the power cut that time, funny enough, it was a fuse fucking going. But someone set off a fuse in the kitchen, and that set off a fuse in my room, coincidentally. At the same time, I heard a click in the kitchen for some reason, and that just did it. So I have no idea. And also, that's the other thing. I think we just have faulty electricity, because I remember we had a induction hob for a while, and it was one of the worst induction hobs ever. Fucking hated the thing. But somehow and coincidentally it blew up. It didn't hurt me or anything, it didn't do anything terrible, it didn't shatter. It just blew up. I saw a big like burst of flames underneath it, and then it disappeared after that. And I turned it off immediately, obviously. But it's just so weird. So I don't know what happened to that, but this new one's fine. But my god, what the fuck? This house is just built like shite. Just don't understand how it keeps happening. And all this just feels unacceptable for a house of this age and this, I guess, amount of money as well, to be fair. So, yeah, I don't know what else to add. I said I'll do a bit more research on like the PC calling aspect, because I think the less power draw I can get, I would want to go with like smaller components, but the less I can get on there is probably the better. But the problem is I'm looking at the 9070 XT again, because everyone just hates the 9060 for some reason, and I think that's to do with like, the performance compared to the 9070, where per like the amount of money, the 9070 is better, just overall, for frames by price. And you know, I saw a hardware box thing actually, I could look at this again. Let's see, 9070 XT, price per frame, I think it is. I can't remember how they calculate it, but it is really good. It's a really good metric to go by. 10 months ago, is this it? Price per frame. Where is that? No, not here. I did see a video of this. It might have been versus a 5070, but that didn't show much. What the fuck is the price per frame thing now? It's really annoying, because that did appear somewhere. Maybe it was 14 cards. But it wasn't comparing the thing, was it? The actual cards, like the RTXs and stuff. I don't know. The 70 price per frame. What's going on with the search results? It's changed again. Why is the Lions Detectives here? I've blocked this channel already. Fuck off. Spam, misleading, as always. Reported it. No, I can't find it. It's really annoying. 2026 update. Maybe. Yeah, like I just need to do research again, I think, because I should just go with a card that's a bit better there. It might just be the better option. Just something that's less powerful. I don't mind it. Again, I'm not looking for 4K fucking RTX gaming. I just want a card that runs, and that's it. There's 16 gigabytes VRAM, obviously, by default. I won't go anything less. Stupid that they still sell cards without that. But anyway, anybody got anything else to add? So, yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about another thing, and it's about this advisor talk. Because just I tried to watch a compilation of this video. Body cam footage of police putting bullies in their place in school, which is great. I wish I had policemen to do that when I was in school, because that probably would have helped me in life, would have even inspired me perhaps. But no, I was just left for dead essentially, and a lot of that, and I was blamed for most things. So yeah, that was my school experience in primary school. Secondary was a bit better, but it's still bad in areas. It wasn't like physically bullied, thankfully. But people in the comments, or one of them said, well, they keep saying it's bad parenting, which it isn't always. It could just be a case of a bad crowd. Because I think friends can inspire children more than parents, if parents are not obviously inspirational or influential. But the other thing I have to note is what they say about discipline. Because I think one of the things to note with discipline is it can be damaging, especially in my experience, where it's probably led to me being very closed off from the world and feeling very alien. But weirdly enough, even then, one of the sort of things that gets me on that, I suppose, is just being, you know, I had to hear a lot of stories as a kid, not bad ones per se, but they were kind of like, oh, well, you know, this parent is going to be more successful than me in life, and I'll never be successful, sort of thing. Wasn't said that way, but I definitely got the impression. And I was never taught to hone my hobbies or interests, and so I ended up with a pretty fucked childhood for that, which didn't turn out. And it had little to do with discipline. And people say it's discipline can't get me a job, but it's very much not the case. I mean, they say discipline can get you a job, but no, not in my case. And I looked at the definition again to sort of make sure I've actually understood it, because sometimes these definitions are wrong when used in certain contexts. And the definition here, is this Oxford? What's the source? I guess it's just start page's own source. Interesting. It says, the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behaviour with punishment or other undesired consequences for those failing to comply. So yeah, there were certainly moments in my childhood where I did that, including in school, I will admit that. But it wasn't always the same thing. I was definitely disciplined a lot for certain things. Like at school, it was like being taken to a different room. We didn't have detention in primary school for some reason. And I can't remember what the other thing was. I think it was like being monitored maybe because of getting into so many fights, but they didn't do anything. didn't get any monitoring, so it just didn't work. And I'm pretty sure teaching assistants didn't like working with me either for some reason, which did not help. So things just never worked out in primary school, but at home it was a different story. One side of the family, it was just kind of meh. I was disciplined only when I needed to be, in a good way. And I can happily report that was the way to do it. And I was also allowed to do what I want after I got home. If I didn't want to do homework, that's my fault. But I think I used to do homework by having dinner, sitting down playing a game for a few hours and do the homework in between. That's how I cheated it, and even if I failed it, it still got the job done. But on the other side of the family, however, it was a lot worse. So what ended up happening was, when I got homework, I was essentially forced to do it. I was told to focus and do it, and I did, and I rushed it again because I didn't have a fucking interest. I only did the math ones, but I didn't do any other homework except for maybe science. But, you know, the ones I did properly, I mean. And there was one science one where we had to gather rainwater for some reason. It was all polluted. Great. I guess that was a good experiment. It stunk. I had to carry it into school. I had to carry it right to the teacher before the lesson even began. It's like the start of the day, and you know, they said, "Okay, you pass. Just get rid of it." Yeah, it's so stupid though, because the fact I was sent in with that and not even a note or any sort of like calling in or anything, because they could have called someone in. That's the weird thing. They could have called the department I was with, which is the special needs sort of section of the school, and dealt with that, but no, for some reason they didn't, so I never got that opportunity really. But I did get detention like once or twice, I think. Can't remember, I think one of them was actually for behaviour, but I can't remember what it was, but another one was definitely for a lack of homework, I believe. And it wasn't even a proper detention actually, because they took me away into the special needs area because obviously I needed that support, so I never got proper detention, except for once, I think. No, I was thinking one after school thing, I think. Yeah, it was the day my girlfriend broke up with me. I was really upset. For some reason went to the IT room. I don't know why. Yeah, again, there's not much discipline there, but at home it was different because if I ever misbehaved and stuff, it'd be like, oh, well, you'll get punched, you'll get hit. Okay, not really being down, but getting hit was bad enough as it is, and it created like a big fear in me. And I guess that's where a lot of that closing in just happened, and PTSD, and I was only reminded of it when I first moved away from my childhood house, where, you know, my housemate was a bit of a fucking weird one and started to rant off downstairs shouting, which was very unusual because I was not told about it. You know, I thought I was in like big trouble or something, and I was like calling, messaging the guy after having a fucking, well, I don't know what it is, a breakdown, a PTSD attack. You know, like crying, fucking, like, it's so fucking bizarre. And yet they don't, like, the mental health services deny I have PTSD. And yet that experience fucking got me. So what the hell? But yeah, again, these things come back. I remember being shied at before, and that's something I hadn't experienced in a long time until that point, until I moved. And that really got me. Because I'm used to people not raising their voice at me anymore because I just tried to behave and stuff. And I was behaving, and I got shouted at. Like, so many fucking issues here at this place, and this is partly the reason why I wanted to move before. If I hadn't already mentioned that. It's such a traumatic experience, even just reflecting on it from childhood. And there was even a teacher, a substitute teacher actually, not a real teacher, thankfully. But a substitute I got fired in my secondary school because she was just too loud. She was like upsetting me and upsetting other kids, like shouting at them, treating them like shit. And she got fired the same day. We only had her for like 2 lessons, I think. And then, you know, I think the head teacher or something, we actually had like a head of year system in my school, and the head of year came up to us like, "Is this teacher too loud?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And what did I? She was gone and he was in her place. And we all cheered, I think, which is good. Yeah, as I said, it's just traumatic, and I still remember those moments. I even remember being told off for like failing in a science experiment. I just did something stupid and I was told off for that. I didn't really know what I was doing. Yeah, I was sort of treated like a criminal there for some reason. That's always played in my mind. I also have moments, I remember once I was in a park actually. It's one that's also pretty traumatic. I was just alone. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have well, I have siblings, but I don't have any that play with me. But I was in the park once with that side of the family, the sort of badder one, and I was on the seesaw alone. I was just minding my own business, playing by myself. And this woman with another kid comes up and says, "Can we use this?" It's like, no. I just said no because I didn't know what to say. And then she started having a go at me for, taking up the seesaw alone and saying she wanted to be on there with her kid. I was like 9 or 10 at the time. And I wasn't really wanting to get off it because I was just alone. I didn't have anything to do. I was bored out of my mind. She was starting to shout at me for it, which for some reason parents didn't pick up on or anything. They didn't seem to care either way. I don't think I actually told them. So I didn't really get any chance there. I was essentially just scared off the fucking seesaw. Again, for the fact this woman wanted to play with a kid even though the kid could have played with me. Talk about shit parenting. I think that's probably going to make me more mad, and I realise that. Sort of overcomes a lot of the trauma. It's just weird. I don't fucking get it. But again, this is like discipline. I'm told off, I'm told to obviously obey these rules and stuff, and it doesn't do anything for me. And ironically, I was also told I couldn't have, like, sex in the house. Yeah, like, yes, I was literally told this at the age of 13. And I was thinking, like, what do you mean? Why? What does it even matter? And I get we have children in the single digit ages there, but why does it even fucking matter? And it's probably because of partly religious reasons, but also just, privacy as well. And also making sure that nobody hears and stuff, but I just feel like it's so silly. And then another side of my family, it's like, you know what, feel free to do whatever you want as long as you use protection. It's like, what the fuck is this upbringing anyway? Even though it's mixed, and that definitely helps shape me to what I am today, it doesn't mean it's always good. But at the same time, that left me with mixed signals, and then I was instead looking for ways to instead visit a girl's house to potentially have that opportunity. But even then, that's difficult. I remember being cockblocked by my first girlfriend, father, because I was at her house, wanted to go upstairs to kiss. I didn't know about sex at the time, and her father was like in the way, like, "What are you doing? Why don't you just stay downstairs?" It's like, oh, okay. It sucks though. That's kind of what I mean with discipline. Like, sometimes you just do need to let go of things in that situation. But definitely, like, physically abusing a child is not the way to do things. Maybe mentally, I think it's different. I think if you tell them they're going to be useless, that's obviously bad. I wasn't really told that growing up. I was quite lucky in that sense. Because I think a lot of kids I knew were actually brought up that way. But I did have, like, good punishments, like the ones where they confiscate something, like my games console or laptop, so I wouldn't do anything again. So that didn't really stop me, to be fair, because it didn't really matter. I had other things to use and do. Yeah, things change over time. The stupider thing that still leaves me traumatised as well is I was even being punished at the age of 16. I'm 16 fucking years old. And they're doing really stupid shit, like my stepmom was like, "Call this out." I decided to take away my PlayStation 3 after I was coming down with depression and not liking the first day of college. I was just really sad. I got the timetable, I didn't really want to share it because I was just wanting to be alone. And she didn't understand that I wanted fucking alone time and started to get mad at me because I wouldn't show the timetable. Like, what? And started confiscating things. First my PlayStation, then my phone, because I was texting my mum on it and saying how my day went. It's just so shit. That's what I mean with discipline. That sort of discipline is terrible. You're not considering my feelings, and you're my stepmother, not my fucking mother. Not even my father. And even then, I don't think it'd even be acknowledged that I'd have depression. School wasn't diagnosing me with, when I was in school anyway, doctors weren't diagnosing me with anxiety, which I no doubt had for so many years now. And they weren't even diagnosing me with anything else. Just autism, learning difficulties, and, well, that's it. There wasn't anything else. And even then, from the autistic perspective, they should have understood about that, about how that impacted my social experiences and even my social wants and needs. Again, discipline isn't always good, and I think you need to find the discipline that's right. You need to give a choice, I think, and that's probably the way to do it. It's not a good way to obviously treat the world. I think that's bad. I think in some cases you need to give a choice for some things. Like, you know, if a child is not going to get up and do something like a hobby, like I should have been forced to, because I think that would have helped me, then, you know, something needs to be done. It needs to be disciplined. And I was too busy on games, to be fair. Not exactly a bad thing, I get it, for parents who are hard working and stuff, but they also need to sort of give hints at stuff. Like, I think in school we need to have something like a sort of hobby experience where you get to try out all different subjects, although you technically do, for like a year each, I think, for each subject. But I mean one where you can find something you can do, something you can enjoy and do in the future. So I think for some it may be like veterinary experiences, and some it might be like drawing and art, and it might even be history. There's different experiences that people want, and eventually you get your bigger options in year 10 and 11, and that changes things. And parents should be honing that sort of thing, especially now, to get you up to speed. And sadly I do know parents who don't fucking do that, and it's like, why? You're wasting your child's life and it's on you. You only have yourself to blame for that. And yes, they're not going to stop gaming, but the problem is you need to give them something to do, to give them a head start in life. And you know, the parent I know, which is very unfortunate because they have some mental health issues, for sure, but there is no excuse. It's a very capable child, and I do see potential. The problem is there is no persistence, and on top of that, the child has a squandered opportunity because of basically not going to school. Like, yes, believe it or not, some children don't. Well, I'm shocked to find that out myself, but I'm sickened by it because I never had that opportunity. Now, there is almost a bit of envy, I guess, like jealousy, but you do need to give them something to do at that time, not like lazing around doing nothing. You need to teach them useful life skills and put them on the right track. Like, give them, maybe there's like the Brilliant app. Like, I know it's been like a sponsorship thing, but I heard good things about it. You know, you could give them that. Say, okay, you've got to do this for the entire day, and when you're done, you can play games. That's it. That's discipline. When they're misbehaving, you can give them a choice of what to take away and what to keep. So you say either you take away the phone, or you take away the games console, and the computer, or mix and match all of them, and obviously you give them that choice. It's like, okay, but yeah, you get that instead, you know, of misbehaving. But you're not like absolutely like killing their vibe and stuff and making them so unhappy that they'll just get depressed. And these are sort of experiences I wasn't granted growing up, but they're still really important. It's crazy about their importance. I really do think that first thing is important though. Just that persistence in doing things. And I see so many badly behaved children as well. Like even just walking out on the streets, there's just badly behaved children out there. It's just a shame really. Because I think that does leave them technically vulnerable in a sense. But also just very vulnerable to the crappiness of the world too. And also you do see the brunt of it hitting parents and stuff, especially when it goes horribly wrong. I've heard of misbehaving children before, like seriously bad ones, like physically harming adults. And nothing is done about that because of the crappy care systems we have in place in the UK. And I guess nothing is done about it because there isn't enough money going into it, which Reform and Restore are trying to take away. Let's not kid ourselves here. This is part of the problem. They're not going to fucking fund it because they're selfish. They're greedy fucking cunts. As are the voters. They don't care about protecting women and children, otherwise they would have done their fucking research. They would have listened to the stories. It's why it's so absurd. They don't actually follow a trail of truth, they follow a trail of destruction. And that's the difference, I suppose, in even like the parenting tactics. And even like just families. That is the entire difference. It is just, trail of destruction or the trail of truth, and the truth is, not every child is the same, but you can discipline them differently. But even speaking as an adult, the way I discipline myself is by mixing up my sort of like selfish time and my selfless time. I make hard work at music, free. I don't charge for it. Admittedly, if it became a job, I would happily charge for it if I could. But I'd also go into making my life better. I do currently with artwork actually. I listen to, not listen, I watch TV at the same time and watch movies. And other ways I help myself, I listen to music whilst I do like browsing jobs, I do stuff. What's the other thing I was doing? I just game in my free time as well. It's like the reward for doing all of it. And even then I have chores in real life and I try to remind myself that once it's done for a while. If I have to hoover, okay, it's like 20 minutes or something, which is not good. It takes way too long in my opinion. But assuming it's like 20 minutes, assuming I'm quick and swift, it's done. And I don't have to do it for another 2 or 3 months before all the dust settles again. If I have to say, I'm trying to think, what's the other things I'll do? I have to sort out things at the moment to settle. So I'm going to have to figure that out. And that'll help me fund like my computer, my guitar. Speaking of which, I could just straight up buy the guitar, couldn't I? Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that. A bit stupid. Yeah, let's assume I could sell it actually, that's the problem. I'm still waiting to get it fucking fixed though. Yeah, like, so many different things to consider, and this is what I mean by discipline. And also, if I need to do things, I need to do things. I need to make my breakfast. That's part of my discipline. For exercise, I have to exercise, so I have to stay healthy for calories and even just better sleep quality in general. I think it does help in a way. Not completely, but it helps enough, I think. Helps me get to sleep. And the other things, I also have to force myself to go to the toilet, especially during a flare-up or Crohn's disease. There's other ways I discipline myself. I try to be like careful with stuff, like masturbating and stuff, weird. Yeah, I know, but I try to limit myself to one like special thing a day, like toy. Porn, but that's another thing entirely. It's a bit NSFW. And what's another thing? I don't know. I can't really think for some reason. There's definitely points where I do use discipline in my daily life, and even if I have to cook, for example, I have to cook and take the time out of my hobbies. Because that's just the way to do it. I teach myself to cook, I taught myself to cook, and also cooked for others for a certain amount of time. Actually, I never went into the story actually. I did sort of cook for my first housemate, the one who sadly made me upset first day if I went there. So I only did that for a brief time though, because for some reason the support here are weird. They don't, like, he feeds himself properly, but he thinks they don't. And yet he wastes all his fucking food. He has a ready meal, household fit, chucks the rest away. Which is just so wasteful. I fucking hate it, and that's part of the reason. I really think he'd benefit from a personal fucking chef, because this is stupid. I genuinely can't comprehend this shit sometimes. But anyway, I used to cook, and I used to get the same treatment. Give him a quarter of my meal, because that's all he fucking eats. And he'd still chuck away a part of it, or even most of it, depending on what it was. It wasn't even like bad food, it's stuff that I liked. But again, I just don't understand this shit. There's like no discipline here either, and you can tell with people's behaviours whether they're disciplined or not. Yeah, by the hardships that they have and how greedy they are. They truly don't understand that perspective, and it's very obvious when you do start to know it. You start to get used to discipline. It's genuinely obvious, and I notice that with people in my family who, one of them actually does bully me. I've never talked about this, but it is actually building. I feel like one of the cases that happened recently was a traumatic story. Apparently actually I don't really want to repeat it. It's reminded me too much of traumatic experiences I've had. But I think it was just done with the intent to give me PTSD. And I think that does qualify as bullying, and I don't know about like pressing legal charges and stuff, and I know the family would fucking hate that, but I have no choice. You know, it doesn't excuse even your own traumas, it just doesn't excuse that sort of shit. It feels horrible, really. But that, again, like, trauma is a discipline in itself. It's not intentional, but it certainly teaches you. And, you know, you end up growing to hate it. You know, you never forget the cries or the pain that you have in those traumatic experiences. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's good. It can be. It definitely can be used for good, and then even then, too much discipline leads people to just be really bad. So what you need is a balance in the end. There's no one size fits all. It's just a balance based on what your child needs or what the person needs. And that's that. You know, case closed. I figured this out myself without really realising. Yeah, if I have to go to a doctor's appointment, which I have to do soon, obviously I talked about colonoscopy prep. I have to go to a doctor's appointment. No, shocker. But I have to go. Even if I don't really want to, I'd rather stay at home. But that's the point of discipline. You have to push yourself, even with anxiety and stuff. And I do have a bit of anxiety about this, but at the same time I'm confident now because I prepared. Preparation is a good antidote to anxiety. It leaves less things to go wrong, and if you have backup plans as well, it's especially better. I've had that in multiple cases actually, and it's sort of worked out. You know, have those backup plans to avoid situations where I'd have a panic attack. But sadly, it's also, in the cases where it's backfired, it's led to severe anxiety and stress. So it's important. Planning in itself is a discipline. I try to think of all these things, and all the things that count as discipline is kind of that way. Again, to remind yourself, the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behaviour with punishment or other undesired consequences. Like, yeah, planning is sort of in that category. The punishment is you have to take the effort to figure these things out, to get from point A to point B, and effectively as well. And then applying it obviously to a situation, and yeah, obviously getting into the situation to begin with, if you have to and stuff. Yeah, I don't know what else around here, so hopefully that helps people if I've given any advice that's of any use. But I think it's important to acknowledge it. There's good disciplines and there's bad disciplines, and it's based on the person too. So anyway, let's move on. There's one thing that comes to mind when considering some of the issues around criminals, and that is, what if they are the victim as well? It's like that came to mind when I saw another recommendation in my YouTube feed, which has become very toxic for some reason. Just very uncomfortable topics, or just very bad body cam footage, it seems, and also just really pointless stuff as well. Um, how do I start with this? I think based on what I know about mental health, there can be things leading to the these reactions that people have when they become criminals, and the realization, it could be something like the criminal has been a victim of like abuse or victim of a certain operation. Like, you never know. There are so many different things that they could be a victim of that resulted in it. It sort of relates to the last topic about discipline, because that can also be a source of it. Certainly if your parents are strict, or maybe not strict enough in areas, then you could probably grow up to be very criminal. Like, it's a possibility. It's not out of the realm of possibility just because you had it easy or what. It's definitely possible. The thing that pushes the point home again when it comes to considering this about how they're almost definitely the victims in those cases, and I think sometimes it's partly why I think judges need to be more transparent. I think that definitely can impact things in terms of sentencing and in terms of what you do with a criminal. Admittedly, I think a murderer definitely shouldn't be on the streets. An abuser, very unlikely they should be on the streets. For someone who's just doing fisticuffs, like, not really an issue until they've obviously really hurt someone. There's not really any avoiding that, it's just unfortunate. But again, these are what lead to these issues, I think. It's the only way I see this happening, really. And yeah, they can be victims. And the video in question that I mentioned earlier was actually a child predator, because I wonder what could have led them up to that. Like, why have they become so sick and twisted, exactly? And I think the thought in my mind comes from what I've learned about them anyway, from also my own trauma. It's just that they either end up developing that sort of thing naturally, or they are traumatised by the thing. Meaning it's happened to them or in front of them, to someone they know. It definitely happens. It's in the evidence, and you can see that when they actually study this. I could be wrong, but in a sense I do also wonder these things when I see those people. I know the absolute worst way to go about it is to just obviously commit the crime. It's obviously the worst thing to do about it. I think if you feel genuine sadness, depression, or something over it, you definitely have a good heart, because it can show you that you acknowledge these things as horrible things that have happened to you. Even in the sort of domestic abuse case, where sadly that can be a thing too. It could be like a parent's or the guardian's misogyny that has basically bled into your own life, and you thought, okay, well, my partners don't deserve the same amount of good treatment that I never got. That happens, sadly. Yeah, there are cases where perpetrators are victims as well. It makes for a complicated situation, and obviously we can't label everyone like that. I think some people just are evil inherently, can't avoid it. But I think there are better things we can be doing. Yeah, that goes without saying. For sure, it's something like child predators. Sometimes I think the worst thing to do is also to just expose them publicly. It depends on the person, really. If it's like someone who's no regrets, even then I start to question things, because what makes you so fucked up in the head? Like, what even was worth it? when they say that, it gets confusing and the answers are very unclear. I think what everyone wants is like a one-size-fits-all sort of answer to these things, which is why you can't just judge books by their cover, like in this situation. But it also leads to so many complications. So you literally cannot avoid stuff like this. It becomes problematic, and we don't do it properly anyway, we don't do it justice. So we end up with these people either back on the street, doing the same thing again, or they end up still being like traumatized and stuff, and some people just don't even know that there is help out there for that sort of shit. And I think people need to not know the moment that it's actually getting worse as well. Because yeah, I grew up being traumatized by some of this shit myself, and one of the absolute worst things I've seen done with that is just doubling down on the violence and hatred towards those people. Not to mention culture can play an impact as per, unfortunately some of the anti-immigration talking points in the UK. But it's kind of rarer because when it happens in a Western society, it's certainly much a worse thing because it's not often the fault of the person. If they end up harming a child, it's probably because they were harmed themselves. And if not, it was by someone else, not necessarily family, but a friend or even just relations, like, you never know. Someone related to the people you know. There are so many possibilities. And again, like in my case, unfortunately my trauma, I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And you don't avoid that sort of thing, it never leaves you. So it just repeats, and then what are we fucking doing here when people like that just get absolutely fucking bombarded with hatred and violence? Are you just pushing them to do it more? It's genuinely baffling. So I really cannot understand the point there. I think when it also turns into a bigger problem, like it becomes a paraphilia, a bigger one, like necrophilia, which is fucking horrible, that's when there are serious issues. Again, there are studies on this, and the world of paraphilia is more scary. It does happen, and it's because there is a victim. And some people are beyond saving, but some can be, from what I'm aware of. Certainly my story, when I did eventually talk about it with the police, obviously, it's something that happened quite a while ago. Yeah, there's definitely help out there, and that it sucks that people can't get help. That's where I think we've failed those people and failed the victims as well. I should go without saying that, but some people need to hear it straight up. And that's the case here. So it's absolutely exhausting when I see stuff like that. And also exposing people does not help the victims at all, I have to say. It'll only teach the wrong people how to avoid it, which is not good. You should just do it in fucking private. Say that you managed to catch them, but don't share your fucking strategy. It's like one of the dumbest things you could do. Online vigilantism, it can work, but you have to do it right. Even if you're presenting it for like profit, again, showing you're working out and stuff is not going to help. It might just make it worse again. So yeah, I don't really know what else to add. That's about it, so let's move on. Oh, would you look at the time? I can't see the time, so I have to guess, but I think it's time to close the podcast. This episode anyway. It's gone on for a while. I didn't expect to ramble so much. I keep trying to avoid it, but I just can't for some reason. There's just so many things to talk about, so many things on my mind, and I think that's maybe a result of stress, which probably ties into my sleep issues too. Yeah, I'm just so tired of this shit, and a lot of the topics are bad and tiring. It just piles up a lot. It's a bit overwhelming too. Yeah, I try to avoid it, as I said. Anyway, thanks for listening. See you all next time.